introduce. We're so happy to have our member speaking today, Gary. He's on the Rocktoberfest. He's jumped in with 2 feet to be a part of the Kiwanis group. And one of the things he does is, do you run the Toastmaster chapter here, Gary? Or do you facilitate the Toastmaster chapter here?
Not exactly.
Okay, well, come up and tell us what you have to do. Thank you.
I'd like to begin this presentation by asking the audience a question. And the question is, what is your greatest fear?
Nuclear warfare.
Pardon?
Nuclear warfare.
Okay. Anybody else?
Speaking in public.
Yes, bingo. That's it. Speaking in public. I would say that there is absolutely no way I would be able to be up here in front of this group or any group if it were not for Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an organization that exists in 67 countries and has about, let me see exactly how many, 8,300 clubs. I joined Toastmasters in 1992, and the reason I joined it was I wanted to develop myself as a human being. It wasn't specifically for the speaking aspect of Toastmasters, but rather for the self-confidence that it has given me, the enormous ability to get up in front of people and speak, or just simply be up in front of people in public. I joined in 1992 in Ashland, Oregon, and it was a new group that was just beginning. And the reason that I felt comfortable to some degree about joining was in the Ashland Daily Tidings, on the front page, was an announcement that there was this new Toastmaster group that was going to start. And there was a picture of a woman that I knew from Ashland, and she looked like she was scared out of her mind. And I thought to myself, oh, that's the perfect environment for me, because that's exactly what I feel, or felt at that time, about speaking in public and joining Toastmasters. The very first meeting was simply introducing ourselves, and there were 10 or 12 new people that were joining this Toastmaster club. I happened to have been awarded a mentorship, and the mentor was the person who was starting this new group. And he said to me, oh, Gary, by the way, you're speaking next week. I said, oh, no, I'm not speaking next week. I'm probably not going to speak the week after. I'm just checking it out. He said, you're speaking next week. Well, I did. And what happened during the speech is I was so nervous that my knees were shaking and knocked the lectern off the podium onto the floor and crashed at my feet. My mentor came up to me. He said, no worries. You're going to finish the speech sitting in a chair facing the wall. And I did. That's how bad this situation was. And that's how anxiety-provoking public speaking was for me at that time in my life. Fast forward from that, about 6 months later, it was announced, to my uncertainty, that I'm now going to be the president of Toastmasters. And I thought, oh no, I'm not, no, it's not going to happen. I was, though, however. I was the Toastmaster for a year, and then I had 2 other terms after that, plus being elected to be the person who would evaluate other clubs. And that was my personal Toastmasters story. What Toastmasters is all about, and by the way, there are two Toastmasters sitting here, Gordon and Ev, just in case I should have another episode like I did back in 1992, I have reinforcements. And also, Gordon is very handy with CPR. Nonetheless, Toastmasters of Redmond consists of about, I would say right now, about 18 paid members. And of course, Toastmasters went through the pandemic and things became really difficult to have in-person meetings. But now Toastmasters is rising. And what we do in a Toastmaster meeting is we have a president, we have a Toastmaster, we have a grammarian, we have a table topics master, and table topics is something that Barb can speak about, although I won't bring her up here right now. But nonetheless, Barb has had experience with table topics. It's where people are given a topic to speak about without any advance notice, totally impromptu speaking. Besides the grammarian, we have the table topics master. We have a timer who times all of the speeches and evaluations and everything, table topics included, that goes through everything that happens in Toastmaster meeting is evaluated. Because if you are in a speech contest, for example, and you run over your allotted time, you are disqualified. So Toastmasters is teaching people to be concise and to do things according to a specific time period. Am I missing any other?
Toastmaster itself, the person who leads the meeting. If you've
Yeah,
never done it before.
the Toastmaster, the president and the Toastmaster. We thank you, Gordon. We also have a board, and the board consists of a president, a secretary, a VP of membership, a VP of public relations, of which I serve in that capacity, secretary. And we have meetings once a month where we plan the future of Toastmasters of Redmond. Toastmasters, in my opinion, is not simply a public speaking group. It's really about developing self-confidence. It's about being the best person that one can possibly be. And in Toastmasters, not unlike your Kiwanis meetings, we support each other. We give each other valuable feedback as to their speeches, as to their evaluations, as to their table topics. It's not criticism, it's evaluations, it's evaluative. And it's to bring everyone to Toastmasters in a way where they're happy and content and not afraid of being in front of people and speaking. I will share with you that when I went to college in my first year, which was in 1960, I could hardly speak. I was so scared of being in a public setting, especially a new setting with hazing and being a freshman at the college level, that I could hardly speak the entire year. So what my dormitory did was they made me secretary, where I had to speak at the dorm meetings. I was made captain of the tennis team, so I had to give instructions to my fellow mates and fellow players. And eventually, I started to feel more comfortable. But public speaking for so many people is like the fear of death or the fear of snakes. It's just one of those things where people are terrified. You will notice that oftentimes when people speak, you will hear the following. I'm going to give you a speech that you will probably recognize. Yesterday, it was like, it was so bad. Wow. You know, that's what Toastmasters tries to teach each of the Toastmaster people that are present, to give up their attachment to ahs and ums and so's and you know and like. I don't know how you feel, and I really hate to share this, but I have great difficulty listening to speakers these days because I'm so spoiled by the Toastmaster excellence that Gordon and Ev and I and probably Barb experience as being members of Toastmasters, that it's very difficult for me to listen to speeches. Nonetheless, I'm a patient man, and I'm just hopeful that some of you who have this and so on and so forth might consider joining Toastmasters of Redmond. If that's the case, we meet on every Tuesday of the month from 12 to 1 at the Church of Christ on 7th Street, close to Les Schwab Tires. We have no affiliation with the church other than they are kind enough to provide the church to us as a meeting place. At this time, I would like to open up this to questions.
Hello.
Carl beat you by 1 second. But Carl.
I have 3 grandchildren who say multiple times in every sentence
It's epidemic.
How can I help them?
That's an excellent question, Carl. There is an antidote to that and to all filler words. The antidote is pausing. When one gives a speech in a rather rapid way, the chances of having filler words is tremendous. But if one uses pauses and pauses between sentences and thoughts, there is a very good chance that the filler words will not come out. My suggestion, Carl, is to suggest to them that they slow down when they speak, pardon me, and use pauses. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Well, nowadays, part of public speaking can be outside of the Toastmasters. There'll be a public address system. There will be a microphone. And many people are not used to that. Maybe hold the microphone down here or stand too far back. Is that included in Toastmasters, that possibility, or do you use microphones?
In the Redmond group, we have not used microphones. In the Ashland group that I was in for 14 years, we experimented with microphones, but we didn't like it. We preferred for the person that was speaking to just use their normal tone, because there's something in Toastmasters called vocal variety. And using the microphone, it's possible to have that happen, but it's more possible to develop vocal variety, which is one of the features of Toastmasters, if we don't use a microphone. And I've had to use a microphone sometimes. I mean, there is a microphone here, But were you all able to hear me? I prefer not to use a microphone, but sometimes it's
Right,
necessary
I just
to
was
do
thinking
that.
of it as a matter of training
Yes,
for when they go out,
yes.
not in the Toastmasters.
We don't use it for training,
Okay.
but it's a possibility of introducing it at the meetings. Yes, please.
I still remember my first speech. It was so traumatic. I can still remember it. And to Carl, you know, when I listen to people talk, I get out a piece of paper and I start writing down those ands, ums, and buts. And, you know, if you just show them how many they do, they don't realize they're doing it. And, you know, if you just show them, it makes it aware, because you just need that awareness that you're doing it to try to help yourself to pause instead.
Yes. Yes.
So I keep thinking of Toastmasters. I kind of want to go back. Kind of want to. So what would you do for, what should I do?
Just show up. Woody Allen, years ago wrote a book called Seven Feathers. And in the book, Woody Allen indicated that the key to success is, guess what? Simply showing up. You will be greeted and assisted and given a mentor, and it's our Toastmaster group. Let me backtrack for a moment. I served in Toastmasters in Ashland for 12 years. And that group won all the awards. It was the best group in the state of Oregon. This Redmond group is as good as that one. And one of the reasons is the supportive nature and the fun that we have. We try, don't we have fun?
We do.
Yes, we have to speak and get up like I'm doing right now, but we have fun. And if we make a mistake, and yesterday I gave a speech and I couldn't remember the word thermometer, and it was someone just, oh, Gary, thermometer. No big deal. It's my answer to your question is just show up, and I hope you will. And we've had lately quite a few newer people, so you'll feel at home with some new people.
So 1 p.m. Tuesday?
12 to 1 on Tuesday at the Church of Christ. And we are listed in the Source, we're listed in Go of the Ben Bulletin, and I think there's several other places. But yeah, and next week I will not be there myself, but the following weeks I will be, but you'll be well taken care of. It's a lot of fun. Yes, I hear somebody, yes.
So Gary,
Yes.
do you guys teach the structure of giving a speech? You know, like the opening joke that might be good, and get the audience warmed up, the cadence of the speech, just some of those attributes, maybe how you stand or hold yourself, or do the hand movement or anything like that, engaging with your audience. Do you guys teach that in this group?
We don't specifically teach it, but it's part of the evaluation portion. So if you were to give a speech, you know, all of the things that you just mentioned, the evaluator can evaluate each of those things that you just mentioned. And what happens is when someone gives a speech, they and the evaluator have contact before the speech, and whatever you want the evaluator to focus on, he or she can do that. But we don't specifically teach it. What you just brought up is something I need to think about, because we can definitely do that. But there's also so much information. It used to be in manuals, but now it's online, that addresses what you just brought up. So the information is available, but we don't specifically teach it at a Toastmaster meeting. Barb, did you raise your hand?
No, I was just making sure you saw her.
Oh, John,
Yes. Do you have any interaction with young kids or high schools where you can go in and talk about the importance of the program?
no, but that's something for me to think about, because I could speak at the high school. I'm glad you brought that up, John. I'll think about that, but at the moment, no.
Gary, most high schools have something called a leadership class, or used to be student council, maybe in our day, and they'd be glad to hear from you. I have a feeling that's where you might start, or our key clubs, who are also studying leadership, really.
Could you perhaps text me or let me know who I might contact for that?
Like, I might. I'm not aware of them myself, but I know who the advisor for key clubs are.
Okay, if you could give me that, that'll be a starting point.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. John,
Here I am, an old guy that earns his living by speaking as a high school science teacher, as a park ranger. I notice as I get older, I'm slowing down, okay, mentally, physically. I may come to you for help.
oh, okay. Come to Toastmasters.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I think about it.
it's,
I'll drive you.
yeah, there you go. You'll have support.
All right.
Yeah, you'll have support. Was there somebody in the back? No.
Oh, just me scratching my head.
Oh, you were just reminding me, okay. Anybody else with questions?
Thank you very much, Gary. Appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome.
This is for you. As you know, Brian Watson, our local artesian, makes these pens for Kiwanis, so it's a Kiwanis pen.
Oh,
Thank you for taking your time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Maybe in front of the banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody need a bag?
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, family.
Okay, and as Toastmasters are often leaders in our community, in honor of Gary and the other Toastmasters in the room, if you know how to do things, you will always have a job. If you know why you do them, you will always be a leader. And with that, we adjourn.